In this presentation, I'm going to walk you through the different stages that you need to follow in order for you to submit a good research paper, a good master thesis that will show that you have mastered your field and you can contribute significantly to the literature in your field. So without further ado, if you are conducting a thesis or you are currently enrolled in a master's program and you heard about a master thesis and you wonder what a thesis is, a thesis is a substantial research project that demonstrates that you master your field. Depending on your field of study, master paper, master thesis would sometimes have at least 40 pages to 100 pages sometimes, depending on what your committee requires, depending on what your university requires. That's why it's very important for you to work very closely with your committee members, your committee chair, in order to find out if there is a minimum number of pages that you should write. Definitely, it is a substantial amount of paper that you would have to write and submit for approval to your committee members, and you will also present it at a defense. The purpose is for you to contribute insights that showcase that you have skills and knowledge to fulfill your degree requirement. And one thing that you should keep in mind when working on your master's thesis is that you should make it count, because this is your signature work. That is a work that is going to be published at your university's library webpage. And so make sure that you make it count, make sure that it is citable, make sure that it is publishable, because if you're planning to go further and conduct a dissertation, work on a doctorate degree, your master's project could help you secure admission to a good university, to a good doctoral program. So you need to choose your topic very early, and you need to pick something that you are passionate about, something that is feasible. That's why it's very critical to have a research topic that is narrow enough in such a way that you can conduct it in a time frame that will allow you to graduate on time, because a master's program usually takes 2 years to complete. Mostly some master's degree programs, some master's program require only 1 year. But if you are planning to conduct a thesis, you need to come up with a narrow research topic that is feasible in a time frame that you have. So narrowing your research down is very critical, and you need to consult with your advisor, ensure that your topic aligns with your program and also the resources that are available at your institution. Before you dive deeper into the thesis, it is mostly a requirement that you submit a proposal. And some of the components of a proposal include your research questions. You need to clearly come up with the questions that you intend to investigate. What are some of the objectives of your research? What is the methodology that is going to be used to conduct your research? And you also need to have at least an outline of your literature review. What are some of the key topics that you're going to address in your literature review? You also need to be clear and concise. Why does your research matter? How will you conduct it? And you will know that by reading through the literature on the topic. That's why it's very important to identify a topic that you would be investigating. That way, you can start reading articles, and then through your readings, you will identify what other authors, what other scholars are saying about the topic that is missing, so that you can also choose to investigate the gap that others are mentioning in their research. And then you need to make sure that you get some feedback from your committee members, from your advisors. Once you submit your proposal, get the feedback. How do they, you might make some suggestions on the method that you should use. If you choose, for example, to go for a qualitative method, and then they see that, well, based on your research questions, this is should be a quantitative research. make some adjustment. Or if they recommend that you conduct a mixed method research, just listen to the feedback that you will receive from your committee members, because they are the ones that will decide whether you pass your defense or not. So if you do not take into account the suggestions that they're making, it might be a waste of time for you. So make sure that you work closely with them and take into account their feedback on your proposal. Now, once your proposal is approved, the next thing you need to do is to conduct your literature review. And the goal of the review of the literature is to establish context and identify the gaps your thesis will fill. As I mentioned earlier, in your initial readings, you've certainly identified already at this stage, that there are some gaps that people are investigating, are mentioning in the topic, the research. That's why you thought it was good for you to conduct this specific research to fill that gap. Some tools that you should consider using: academic databases at your library. There are tons of databases for scholarly articles that you have access to, mostly for free. Well, yeah, for free. Just Google Scholar, work with your librarians, and organize your sources with Citation Manager. Zotero is a good tool. I've used it. I loved it. And I recently discovered CiteFast that I also came to love so much. Very user-friendly, very easy to use. CiteFast, do your research, Google it, create your account, and it's free. You can use it. Design your research methodology. After a literature review, you need to design your method section. Choose an approach. Is it going to be a qualitative research, quantitative research, or is it going to be a mixed method? Be specific, clarify that in your methodology section. Justify why this is the method that best suits your research question. And then also, you need to plan ahead, take into account time frame that you have, the resources, and also the ethical considerations. Some research would require that you get approval from IRB, the Institutional Review Board. If you're planning to conduct research that would involve human subjects, you need to get IRB approval before you can start conducting your research. So make sure that you work closely with your academic advisor, your committee members, again, to know that if that is something that you would need, and then that could help you also get that IRB approval and move forward in your research. Once everything is done, now you need to start gathering and analyzing data. Stay organized. Use spreadsheets. Use software such as SPSS and Vivo if you're conducting SPSS if you're conducting quantitative research. That's software that would help you organize your data and also analyze. You can run some statistics using SPSS, and Vivo would help you do some qualitative research. Use a notebook. Be thorough. Double check your data accuracy and relevance. Also adapt and adjust if unexpected challenges arise. I remember when I was conducting, for example, research on the influencer, the factors that influence African students to identify and commit to predominantly white universities. I had initially two research questions. What are the identification influencer? What are the commitment influencers? And while I was talking to the participants in the study, I came to realize that the issue of race and racism was coming up a lot. So I thought it was just good to have a third research question to find out if race was an influencer to African students' identification and commitment to predominantly white universities in the United States. Was race the factor that they were considering when they were looking for universities in the United States? So I added that third research question because that is something that I found out during the research. So you need to be flexible. Sometimes you might need to add some stuff. Sometimes you might need to cut off some stuff in your initial plan. So be aware of that and be ready to be flexible. Then the next thing for you to do is to write the thesis. And it should be structured as follows. Should have an introduction, a literature review, a methodology, a results section, and a discussion section. Set deadline, and you should break your plan, the project, into small chunks. Give yourself, for example, a month to write the introduction, which would take approximately 2 to 3 pages. Give yourself 2 months, I would say, to write the literature review. It's the heaviest piece in a research. It is the most difficult piece to do. Once you have your literature review done, you are almost halfway your entire project. So 2 months to conduct a literature review, I think, is enough. And then give yourself maybe a couple of weeks or a week to actually work on your method section, and a couple of weeks to present your results, write about your results, and then a couple of weeks to discuss your findings. And draft, revise later. Don't aim for perfection on a first try. This is a first draft. You can have a first draft for each of the section, and then once you're done, you can submit the full first draft to your committee members. They will read through it, and they will make some suggestions. If things need to be developed, you would develop. If things need to be removed, you would remove, and so on and so forth. So do not try to get a perfect paper on a first strike. That's never going to happen. Draft for the first time, submit it to your committee members. They will provide you with some feedback, work on the feedback, submit it again, and then they will provide feedback. And if they need you to do some additional work, you do it. And then they would finally tell you at some point that, okay, your project is now ready to be presented. Edit and polish, clarity, simple. Make sure you use simple language, logical flow, no jargon or no jargon overload. Proofread for grammar, spelling, formatting. Follow your program guidelines. They will provide you with some information on the guideline that you need to follow, how you need to format your paper. Just make sure that you follow those guidelines. It's pretty much straightforward. Make sure that you also ask a friend or a colleague to review your paper. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any question, please type in the comment section, and I will be glad to provide the answers to the best of my abilities.